You will discover the light of Iman. Proclaim this message entrusted to you, and the cloud of Islam will carry you.
Jesus Christ and Muhammad are the closest in history. The mission of these two respective prophets. Jesus Christ, he was born miraculously. He says he's come only for the Jew. When we look at Muhammad, Muhammad is the most historical of all religious personalities. The mission of Muhammad is to the universe. Difference in the mission.
Amid the confusion, the chaos and the pain, a man emerged and Muhammad was his name. And walking with nothing but Allah as his aid, and the mark of a prophet between his shoulder blades. In a cave in Mount Hira, the revelation came.
Good evening. I'm a born-again Christian. Believe in Jesus Christ as the Son of God, who was crucified, dead and buried, arose, and as someone says, at this moment, at the right hand of God the Father, making intercession for one and for all. I do appreciate your teachings or whatever it may be about the Muslim faith, which I listen and according to what you have said, that those who believe in the Muslim faith should go and win those who believe in Christianity. I would like to know the reason why you want the Muslim to change the Christians and not the Christians to change the Muslim.
You see, the Christians at the present moment, they are busy throughout the world. There are 70,000 crusaders, Christian crusaders are raising the dust in the world. The Christian world has produced more than 60,000 books against Islam from 1800 to 1950. More than 60,000. I was giving all these facts and figures at the previous meeting. There are some, out of the 70,000 missionaries that the Christian world, crusaders that have sent out, 60% are Americans. 42,000 Americans are raising the dust in the world today. Your churches are busy. Here in Birmingham, you know, I don't know whether you know International Crusades from Canada. They have now moved to Birmingham. And they changed the name from International Crusades to International Teams. You know that? And they are now organizing teams of Christian missionaries to work among the Muslims of Birmingham. And I'm sure they're doing it here in Bradford. Christians of every denomination. Look, this young man gave his card. You know what it say? Youth for Christ. He has invited people to his home. He didn't have the guts or the temerity to ask a question. He wants these innocent people to come along for a cup of tea and biscuits so he can brainwash him. I want to know what he wants them to do at his house, when he didn't have the guts to come and ask a single question. So you say you are born again, and I take it that your profession is preaching. Your profession is preaching. Your occupation is preaching. Yes, yes, you are a preacher. You preaching only to Christians? Are you preaching only to Christians?
No, try, as Christ said, go ye into all the world. You may ask, whereabout do I go away from England? I will say, I haven't been to nowhere else since I've been born-again Christian, for it's just in England here that I became a Christian. But as I go on the street, there are many who sat in this congregation who knew me very much, for at times I associate with plenty of people's home that I go and visit them. But my whole aim and desire is, as Christ says, tell it to the world, tell it to the nation. Christ in his loss, going away from the earth, according to St. John chapter 17, he prayed that his Father should glorify him. He said, now the time has come when I will be leaving these here, and I pray for them that you may keep them. They are in the world, but not of the world. And he goes on and he says, not only these alone, but
is that your question, sir? Excuse me, is that your question?
That's preaching. Let him preach. An opportunity like this he'll never get again in his lifetime. So many Muslims that they can hear him. Now, you see,
This is what I say, this born again sickness. You don't know the rights of others. People, they're born again, they don't know about the rights. There's an Englishman comes along and he's going round and round in circles. He's not a speaker, he says, and he wastes everybody's 10 minutes. You see, he's born again. Everyone that is born again, he comes along to preach and he goes. Your question now, as much as you feel that you should share your faith with others, we are commanded more directly to address you. You remember in the verses that I read, I said, Qul, telling them, Allah says, Qul, tell them, Ya Ahl al-Kitab, O Jews and Christians, ta'alaw, ila. See, we are told to call the Jews and you more directly by name. Ta'alaw, ila kalimatin sawa'in baynana wa baynakum. That we come to common terms as between us and you. Let us get onto a common platform. And that common platform, the terms and conditions of getting together are, number one, Allah na'budu illallah, that we worship none but Allah, God Almighty. The only God we shall worship is the God, the Father in heaven. Not Moses, not David, Solomon, Jesus or Muhammad, but the Father in heaven. Let's worship him. We said, yes, but he's a triune God. He's three in one. So we are told to tell you, وَلَا تَقُولُوا ثَلَاثَ. Don't say Trinity. Intahu khairul lakum. This is, stop it, it'll be better for you. Innamallahu ilahun wahid. For your God is one God. He's not three in one. So all these instructions are given to us to bring you back to the path because you have drifted away. Instead of worshipping the Father in heaven, you are worshipping Jesus. Am I right? You are worshipping Jesus. Yes. Jesus is your Lord.
Yes, but the Bible tells us no one knows to God except through Jesus Christ. Thank you.
You see, this is a sickness. What Jesus said was, he says, I am the way, the truth, and the life. That's right. No man cometh unto the Father but by me. Yes. Now, of course, you know that. But if I ask you what is the context, you don't know the context. You don't know, you just quoted a thing out of text. You see, if you quote anything out of context, it's a pretext for preaching what you want to preach. That's what you have been doing. I am asking you or any other Christian that is there, what is the context of that verse? No man cometh unto the Father but by me. In what sense, with what background did he utter those words?
That if their soul should be saved.
Not the purpose, the context. You know, look, man, you are an English-speaking person, maybe from Jamaica, you know English, you know what is text. You quote a text. I want the context, the text that goes with it, before or after. You understand English? Otherwise, leave it to somebody who does.
Good evening, sir. I assume that you believe in prophets. Prophets of God. I do as well. You believe specially in your prophet Muhammad, is that correct? Name Muhammad? Yes. Right.
You were supposed to be asking questions.
Yeah.
You know, not acting as a public prosecutor, you know, what about...
No, beg your pardon, if you feel that way.
You ask your question, sir, I will answer. I'll ask your question and finish it, and I will answer.
Do you believe that we have a prophets in these latter days living on earth, living prophets?
That's your question?
Yes.
Right, thank you. Go to the back if you have another question. I will answer that. I will answer that. We believe, I don't know, in the declaration that I made, there is no prophet after Muhammad. The last and final messenger of God is Muhammad. There shall be no prophet after him. He says, La Nabi Ba'di, there shall be no prophet after me. See, if a thing is complete, which we believe that the Quran is a complete guidance of God given to mankind. Once a thing is complete, anything you add to it is a monstrosity. This hand, yours and mine, perfect. God made it. Perfect. You can't add another finger, you can't add another thumb. You can't have 10 more fingers to improve your hand. Anything you add to this perfect hand is a monstrosity. Similarly, in the guidance of God is given to us in the Quran, perfect teaching for all times, for all people. You can't add. A prophet means a person comes along now and he can change the law. If he's God's mouthpiece, now he has a right to tell you that now you can marry your own mother. He can tell you that. If he's a prophet, he can tell you, sir, God tells me you can marry your mother, you can marry your daughter, you can marry your sister. Shh. He says, no, there shall be no prophet after Muhammad. That is what we believe. No prophet after him. Small or big, no prophet whatsoever. Yes, brother, next one.
Assalamu alaikum. I'm a Muslim. We Muslim call Hazrat Isa alayhi salam, and here's a lot of Christian, they call Jesus Christ. I think it's important for me to request you that could you let the audience know here, including Christian and Muslim, what was the religion of Jesus Christ and what did he taught? Did he taught Islam, or whether he was Muslim or non-Muslim? Thank you. Thank you.
The question was, of course, you heard, what was the religion of Jesus? The religion of Jesus was Islam. The religion of Moses was Islam. The religion of all true prophets of God is Islam. Because with Allah, there is only one religion. He says, Inna dina indallahi al-Islam. Most certainly, the religion acceptable in the sight of Allah is Islam. وَمَنْ يَبْتَغِي غَيْرَ الْإِسْلَامِ دِينًا فَلَنْ يُقْبَلَ مِنْهُ. If you want a religion other than Islam, so Allah will not accept it from you. وَهُوَ فِي الْآخِرَةِ مِنَ الْخَاسِرِينَ. And you will be of the losers. Anything else other than Islam? So I said, now the religion of Moses was Islam, the religion of Jesus was Islam, the religion of speech by Muhammad was Islam. It was nothing but Islam. And the proof of that is, you ask the Jew. Start with, ask the Jew. In our line relationship, we are very closely related to the religion of Moses, Jesus, and Muhammad. Three are related, very close. If Moses was alive with us, and if you asked him, oh Moses, what is your religion? I do not expect him to say Judaism. Because this word Judaism is not in his Torah, is not in his Talmud, is not in his Mishnah, is nowhere to be found in Jewish literature. The word Judaism is not to be found. You see, it's a concocted word, But if Moses was alive and if you asked him, what is your religion? He would say that my religion is a religion of total submission to God's will. A lengthy definition. But one word for that in the Arabic language is Islam. Islam means a religion of total submission to God's will. If Jesus was alive with us today, or in his second coming, if we have a chance to meet him, and if we ask him, so, oh Jesus, what is your religion? We do not expect him to say Christianity. Because if he says Christianity, we can ask him, what church you belong to, sir? Are you a Roman Catholic or an Anglican or a Presbyterian or a Lutheran or a Jehovah's Witness? Silly you would say. It's a silly thing to ask Jesus. I expect him to say that my religion is a religion of total submission to God's will. Lengthy definition. One word for that in the Arabic language is Islam. This is what he came to teach. But if the people, his followers, they took his religion off the rails, actually Paul, they are all following Paul. They are not following Jesus. If they follow Jesus, they will be Muslims. See, because Jesus was teaching them nothing but Islam. The Father in heaven, worship him. They start worshiping Jesus. See, this is not his teaching. As the Quran tells us, testifies on the day of judgment, Allah will ask him, oh Jesus, did you tell your people to worship you and your mother besides Allah? They said, oh Bari Ta'ala, oh my Lord, you know I never did any such thing. As long as I was with them, I was a watcher over them to see that they never did any such blasphemies. But after you took me up, you know what they did. So, in tu'azzibhum fa innahum ibaduka. So if you punish them, they are your servants. Wa in taghfir lahum fa innaka antal azizul hakim. But if you forgive them, you are exalted in might, you are wise. In your wisdom, you can do what you please. But the religion of Jesus was Islam, and he was a Muslim. In the Garden of Gethsemane, you read in the Bible that he went there, and he went a little further, and fell on his face, and prayed to God. He made the sujood, and prayed to God, said, oh my Father, ye mere ma'bud, if it be possible, let this cup pass away from me, but not as I will, but as thou wilt. One word for that, not as I will, but as thou wilt, is a Muslim. I have submitted my will to the will of Allah. Jesus was a Muslim, and his religion was Islam.
Prophet of Allah,
A few minutes ago, somebody stood up and said that he thought, he got the impression that you had been mocking the Bible. I must say that, I'm sorry to say this, I also got the same impression. I will give you an example though.
You point to the red letter Bible and show what small quantity of it is highlighted in red. However, there's a large quantity also which is not highlighted in red, which describes the actions of Jesus Christ and not his words. Are these not equally important?
You see, he says, I made a mockery of it because I say the red letter Bible. In the red letter Bible, everything that Jesus said is in red, and is only 10% of the whole of the New Testament, only 10%. So what is the mockery? I'm telling you that, look, this is not the book of Jesus. We Muslims are made to believe that Jesus Christ was given a revelation, a wahi. God Almighty inspired him. And that inspiration we call the Injil, that inspiration which God gave him, and he preached this Injil. Matthew, Mark, Luke, John, they all tell us that Jesus went to Bradford and he preached the gospel. He went to Blackburn and he preached the, for example, Blackburn, he went to Birmingham and he preached the gospel, 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 again and again, gospel. What was he preaching? Did he have Matthew, Mark, Luke and John under his arm? Did he have Matthew, Mark, Luke and John, Acts, Peter, Paul, James, Corinthians, Philippians, Galatians, carrying him under his arm? Is that what he was doing? No. Whatever he was preaching was from God. And that message which he preached, we say the Injil. And that even if we accept every word in red, every word of yours in red, your scholars, they have brought this about. Every word in red, we find is only 1/10 of this New Testament. 1/10. 90% is words of other people. They're talking about him. Not quoting even a single verse. 21 out of 27 books, not one word is even quoted of Jesus.
Basically, you've posed to me, by your debate, you've actually posed a certain problem to me, in the sense that I understood that the Bible is in itself a revelation. And yet it's been revealed through this debate that a lot of it is actually based on massive contradiction and factual error. Do I then have to read the Quran thoroughly and then filter through? I basically want you to advise me, do I have to read the Quran and filter through that, which I believe is to be the tenets of the Christian faith as well? In other words, do I only believe that which is referred to as Hazrat Isa alayhi salam in the Quran as to be the teachings of Christianity?
See, everything that the Quran tells us, we believe is Allah's kalam. So whatever he tells you, that look, Jesus didn't preach these things. That Jesus Christ didn't die. He was not killed, nor was he crucified. That's what Allah says. But now we can prove it from the Christian's own book. You see, what the Quran says there is no Trinity. So the Christian says, here, my King James Version, open. First Epistle of John, chapter 5, verse 7. So you open. It's a read. So you read. It says, for there are three that bear record in heaven, the Father, the Word, and the Holy Ghost, and these three are one. So here's my Trinity. It's there in his book. Now what are you going to say? So it says, wait a minute, who produced this book? Christian scholars. Fifth major revision, Christian scholars. But you have here another Bible called the Revised Standard Version. Who produced this? 32 scholars of the highest eminence, backed by 50 cooperating denominations of Christendom, they produced this. What does this book do? It said this one here goes to the most ancient manuscripts. This Roman Catholic version goes to the ancient manuscripts. The King James Version goes to the ancient manuscripts. Ancient means 400 to 600 years after Jesus. Most ancient means 300 years after Jesus. So the most ancient will be most authentic. If we had something 100 years after Jesus, it's still more authentic. If in the time of Jesus something was written, still more authentic. If Christ wrote it himself, no doubt whatsoever. Right? This goes to closest to the period, third century of the Christian era. In this now you open, is thrown out as a fabrication. Who threw it out? Muslims? Muslims were telling them, we're supposed to have told them, وَلَا تَقُولُوا سَلَاسَةً. Don't say Trinity. Stop it. It'll be better for you. That is what we are supposed to do. We didn't, but they took it out of the RSV as a fabrication. Right? Look, they're coming closer to us. They say that Jesus, remember that somebody came along, John 3:16 he quoted in different words. It says, for God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten son, that he should die to save you. This word begotten, Allah tells us to tell them, lam yalid wa lam yulad. He does not beget and is not begotten. But he said, look, it's in my book. Where? He brings it here, John 3:16. Open this, going back to the most ancient manuscript, the word begotten is thrown out. It's no more there. Says, congratulations, man. Look, you're coming to, but you're dragging your feet. The Anglican Church, more than 50% of the bishops, they say to the church members that you do not have to believe that Jesus is God anymore. You don't have to believe. That is what we are trying to tell them. That is what we have been trying to tell them all along, that Jesus is not God. More than 50% of the bishops, they are telling the flock now that, look, you don't have to believe that Jesus is God. That means they're coming closer to us. The trouble with us is that we are not taking advantage of this opening that they're giving to us. They are dragging the feet. You encourage them to come quicker into the house of Islam to save themselves. This is what we are supposed to do now. Look, the thing is there. The Bible, they are changing, but they're coming closer to us. They're taking out the fabrications, their adulterations, the interpolation, they're taking it out, and as such they're coming closer, but they're dragging their feet. We have to encourage them to walk a little fast, because time is running out too fast.
Earlier on you used the word out of Holy Quran, which was like Rafid. Does that mean thou shalt not force?
I think you're referring to the Quranic verse I quoted, La ikraha fid din, which means there is no compulsion in religion. In matters of religion, you can't force anybody to accept your deen. Whether he's a Hindu, whether he's an atheist, a Christian, Jew, whoever it is, we have no right. Suppose we were in a position to force people, we are not to force anybody. That is what the message of the Quran is.
Yeah, that means thou shalt not force.
Thou shalt not force.
Right.
Yes, sir.
The second one is Islam means peace and submission. You live in peace and you submit to one God.
Yes.
Right? Now, there's a sect in Pakistan called the Ahmadiyya Muslims. They're persecuted and prosecuted by the mullahs. Why?
You see, there is no compulsion in religion. But if you have a nation or community, and one of you is a traitor, you see, in any state, you do certain things wrong. You get caught for speeding, you get caught, you run over somebody, culpable homicide, that's not considered as murder. But if you have treason against the state, which is something unforgivable, treason. You know, suppose Hitler wanted to invade Britain, and one of you Britisher was in league with the German intelligence and passing over information. If they caught you, firing squad. No forgiveness. Oh, the very compassionate people, the British. Very loving people, the British.
When you use the word Hitler, that means the dictatorship.
Whatever. The fact is that anytime you collude with the enemy, the
outsider, if you're going to undermine your own community, that crime is a crime of treason against the community, and the community can't forgive. That is.
You cannot judge other people, but God.
Brother, you can be judging yourself. Look, I have no right to judge. But when you come to me and tell me, says, look, there is another prophet has come after Muhammad, you're breaking the unity of the Muslim Ummah. That means now you are a traitor to my brotherhood.
And always will be the last and final prophet of Allah. He was a murderer.